Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Living and Crafting with an S. I'm Alex, and let's see, I am hoping beyond hope that I can get through this video with no troubles. We have been trying to film this video for the last, 4 weeks or so, and anything and everything that could possibly happen with recording equipment and stuff has happened. So I'm hoping that we've got that taken care of and we can get this video filmed and posted. Just real quick, if you hear the dogs barking, nothing to be alarmed about. The two big dogs are downstairs and they don't like that my door is shut. So with that being said, today's video is a special one for me, but let me tell you, I am terrified and nervous about it. Because it will be my very first quilting video on YouTube. If you see me looking down, it's because I have it written down here, so I won't forget what to say. Like I said, this is going to be my first quilting video. And I'm excited about it because the pattern that I'm doing is Spools and Stars by Becca from SewBecca. It's exciting for me to do this because I feel so privileged and honored to do it, because I look up to Becca as a YouTuber, as a content creator, and I also consider her a friend. This pattern is absolutely a dream to sew. It's super easy, very easy to read. A couple things that I like about the video, or about the pattern, is that, for one, she leaves little notes of tips and tricks and stuff, extra information that you might need on the pattern, either on the sides or below. Also, let's see, I just wanted to show y'all real quick that she also has a checklist. Just had to cover up the cutting. She has a little checklist for the cutting part. So that comes in extremely helpful. It keeps you organized and it's easy to follow. She has it written to where you could do this in a multiple of ways. One, you could do it as a two-tone quilt. You could do it as, and when I say two-tone, I mean your background fabric, you could have one fabric for your spools and one fabric for your stars. Or you could do it completely scrappy. I think this would be a great way to use up your scraps. Or you could do like I did and use a layer cake, or even a fat quarter bundle for that matter. I will not be sharing any cutting information or any size information because it's not my pattern, and as far as that's concerned, I will be linking Becca's channel, her video that she does for the quilt, which goes far more in depth into how to do it than I will. And I will also link her store so that you can go get the pattern yourself. Like I said, if you have a quilty friend, a sewing friend, and you just need, or you need a quick, simple gift for Christmas, this would be a great one to do. Let's see, did I get everything? I think that's it. So as you can see behind me, real quick, this is the quilt. This is my flimsy. I do not have it quilted yet. And for those that are new to quilting, a flimsy is just what we call in the quilting industry, the piece, after you've pieced your blocks and you've sewn them all together, it's what it's called before you put your batting in and you start quilting it. And as you can tell, it's just a flimsy. But with that being said, let me get this out of the way. And while I move my machine over, have you ever had a quilt pattern and you thought, I can't do that because it's too big? Or, you just want to do a block or two. This quilt measures 72 by 96 inches. Now, I'm only 5 foot tall. I do not need a 96-inch long quilt up here in my sewing studio or my quilting studio. But if you ask my family, I do. But since it's only going to be here for my sewing and quilting area, I decided to not make the last 2 or 3 rows of the quilt. But I hadn't made that decision until I had already cut out all of the fabric for the quilt itself. So that left me with a bunch of extra squares. And you think, gee, what am I going to do with all this extra fabric that I've already cut out? It's ready to go for the quilt. So I will show you what I came up with at the end of the video. Now, with that being said, like I said, it's super easy to do and scrappy. And because I've had to redo this video so many times, I actually used up all of my extra squares that I had. So today's video, I am going to be doing the small star block and the spool block in Christmas fabric, because I've decided that I'm actually going to redo this quilt in Christmas fabric. Now, I probably won't get that done before this Christmas to be able to use it for this Christmas, but I do plan on having one for next Christmas. Never too early to start planning. Also, I've gone ahead and sewed a few of the pieces already, just to help the video go by faster. So with that, the first block we're going to do is the small star, which are the 4 stars in the top corners and the bottom corners of the quilt. And all you're going to do is basically we're going to take the small center square, put that aside, and you're going to take your small rectangle, and we're going to make small flying geese units that will be turned into your star points or your star feet. So basically all you're going to do is put your star fabric square against your background fabric. You're going to draw a line from the corner to corner. Now, when doing this, 2 things. You want to make sure that before you sew, you have that line going directly diagonally in the right position. Now, it's kind of easier to do when you already have the 1 square sewed on. So if you're just starting and you're only doing the first square, make sure that if you're using a print fabric and you want your square to line up a certain way, that you test it by folding it over like this to see how that print will line up after it's been cut and it becomes the corner of your piece. You may have to switch it around upside down, sideways, however you have to get it sitting right. So as I said before, you're going to just line it up on the edge, and we're going to sew with a 1/4 inch. Actually, no, we're not. Sorry. We are going to sew diagonally corner to corner. Now, you can do this 2 ways, if not 3. You can just guess and sew it and hope that you get it right. Or you can use seam tape guide that goes on your machine, which I have found really easy to use lately. And, you know, I watched a lot of videos on how to get the right 1/4 inch seam and this and that. And the number one thing that they've said in almost every video I've watched is, do not watch your needle. You don't want to watch the needle. You want to watch the fabric before the needle. And I have done that, and it has worked out perfect every time. Or you could just draw a line. Simply take your ruler and use the 1/4 inch side right here. And this is the Creative Grids 6 by 12 inch. I do have a smaller one. I have the 1.5 by 6 inch ruler, but I have seemingly misplaced that today. So anyway, you're going to take this with your 1/4 inch seam, and you're just going to line the corner to corner like that, and you're going to draw a line. Now, then you're going to just, oops, let me make sure I got my thread going here. You're just going to sew directly on that line. Because remember, we're not making a 1/2 square triangle. We're doing what they call a sew and flip. Also, I am using the Orfil thread 2024, which I happen to have got in one of my sew sampler boxes from the Fat Quarter Shop. And I am also, the machine I am stitching on is a Brother SE625. Yes, I know it's not a super expensive machine. You know, it's $300, I believe, $350, something like that, at Walmart. I got a really good deal on mine, so mine did not cost that much. But, you know, I've realized that a lot of these quilters that are on YouTube, you know, have these big fancy machines. And before I say anything else, I would love to have one of those machines, but I just can't afford one. But I think a lot of the quilters tend to forget that there are people out there that struggle and that can't afford to buy the new and fancy machines. And, you know, I'm just going to be real and say this is what I have to stitch on right now. I do have other machines. I've been lucky. I've either been given them or I've gotten them at a really good deal. However, my other ones are in timeout right now. And my little Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is my my Singer, it's a 1954 or 56 Singer. He is at the spa right now, waiting to be picked up. And this right here is my little Stormtrooper. And if you've caught on, all of the names of my machines, and yes, I do name all my machines, are from Star Wars. So with that being said, we're just gonna stitch straight down that line. And then you're going to take your ruler and just simply line your ruler up on that. It's going to give you a perfect 1/4 inch when you cut it. Now, where did I put that? Oh, there they are. You're just going to trim that top corner off. And then I am going to use my snips here and just snip off these extra threads real quick because that really bothers me. And the one tip I do have, and I'm sure Becca's mentioned it in there somewhere, I honestly don't remember, is that especially with the fabric in this particular quilt here, starch your fabrics. And because of the sizes needed in this quilt, you can starch your layer cakes and you can starch your fat quarters if that's what you're using. Because I did not starch the fabric in this quilt, and the fraying was just ridiculous. And not all of it's bad quality fabric. I mean, this was a layer cake from Moda that I got in my box. And so it just happens to be that these fabrics that I used just frayed for some odd reason. It was just flat out ridiculous how much it frayed. But with that being said, after you clip it, you're going to fold it back just like this, and you're going to press. Now, when you're folding your fabric, your seams back, you can do it the way you've always done it. If you're using a lighter solid, like I did on here, I would say press towards the darker side like you would normally. However, if you're using a printed fabric that's like this, you can fold it towards it even though it's a light fabric. There's enough dark on there that you're not going to really see it. And it's the way it folded, so that's the way we're going. So there's our first foot, or a little mini tiny flying geese unit. So after you've got all 4 of those done, okay, you're going to do 4 of these, just like that, 2 on each side. You're then going to take your center square and you're going to line up your star points here, just like that. And you want to do two of them opposing sides, okay? And you're going to do a 1/4 inch right across. Now, with the 1/4 inch, like, again, you can do it several ways. You can use a presser foot like I have here on mine. You could use the seam guide. You could just guess. Or you can mark a line. Normally, I just draw a line. That way, you know, it's better for me. Also, when you're sewing your 1/4 inch, there's a spot at the very top that shows where the 2 pieces crisscross, the 2 seam allowances crisscross. You're going to want to sew directly across to that or right above it so that you don't come off or lose the point. Now, if you're sewing and you notice, that went awful fast, you're probably going to want to stop and check, because chances are, if you didn't feel any little bumps while you're sewing, chances are you've got it upside down. And then, well, your best friend, as people call him, Jack the Ripper, will have to come out. Now, let's see how I did with that. Oh, perfect. That's extra thread. Cut off this extra thread real quick here, and I'll give y'all I'll show it to you. I told y'all I was nervous. And so that's what it should look like. Now, you're going to take your other 2. And you're going to do the other 2. This is how you're going to do the other 2 pieces. You're going to take one of your little units that you just made, your flying geese unit. No, I'm pretty sure that's what they call it. However, with it being part of the star, not real sure how they describe it. So I'm just going to keep calling it a flying geese unit until it's attached to the star. That's just how my mind is working right now. So you're going to take one of your background square fabrics, okay, and you're going to put it on the side of your little flying geese unit. I just realized that mine tend to be a smidge big, but we're going to leave it. Okay. So it's going to be just like this. And you're going to sew a 1/4 inch. Super simple, super fast, and super easy. Okay, there we go. Just doing a quick stop and start there. Also, if you are doing these and you find that your machine is trying to eat your fabric, this one tends to do that very often, try using a scrap piece of fabric. So what you'll do in that instance is, what I like to do is, you have all these little teeny tiny pieces of scrap fabric from cutting the corners off. Just take it and start stitching, and then stop, and you can run your next piece through, and it should stop your machine from eating the corners of your fabric. So, after you've sewed that piece on, you're going to press your seams out to the background fabric, towards the background fabric, and that's what it'll look like. So you'll make 2 of these, just like this, and then you're going to attach it to the opposing sides of the 2 that you just added, with the point facing up. Pretty sides together, point facing up. Remember, if you sewed super easy and you did not feel a little bump as you're sewing, you might want to check just to make sure that you have it on right. I'm going to grab a couple of pins, because when you're sewing this section on, you're going to want to line your little seams up. You're going to nest them, and that should help it stay right where it needs to be. And all nesting is your seams are laying flat next to each other. Just clip this real quick. Okay. And then you're just going to sew straight across 1/4 inch. I always find these the hardest to do, just because for some reason my points don't like to line up all the time. But as you can see in these squares, some of them just don't line up straight. But I've decided to not worry about it, leave it in, because I do have a disability, and not everybody is perfect. As far as I know, there's only one perfect person, and, well, we all know who that is. And on these, I think I like to press the seams open. So I will probably go back and do that after I'm done with the video. And like I said, you're just going to do those on the opposite sides of each other. Let's do the other one real quick. Remember to nest your seams. Here's my clips. And sew directly across, end to end, with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And if you notice that, you know, something's not lined up right, your seams don't exactly match, and it's going to be something that bothers you, the time to do it is when you notice it. don't be like, you know, oh, I'll get that later on when I'm done sewing, because chances are you're going to forget. Now I'm going to take my little seam roller I have here, and I'm just going to roll these seams so I can somewhat stay flat while I show you. And like I said, I'm going to go back later and do the seams. And there you have the small star block. Now, the next block I'm going to show you is the spool block. And just like we did on the star points, we're going to do the same thing on the top of the spool block and the bottom of the spool block. You're going to take your spool top color that you used. I used, on this particular one, I used like a really dark gray-ish, almost brownish color fabric, and it's a very fine, like a checkerboard print almost. And in this one, I have some brown batik that I'm going to use for the top and bottom spools, which is this piece and this piece. So just take your background square, just like we've done before. You're going to put it on each end of your piece, and you're going to sew corner to corner. And the biggest tip I can give you is before you cut the corner off, you are going to want to make sure that you have sewn the right direction corner to corner. So that's what it should look like. And now that we know for sure that I have sewn it in the right direction, we're just going to simply cut off that top corner, just like we did with the last block we sewed, using my ruler to line up and have the perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance left after I've cut it off. Press the seams to the dark side, and you can go ahead and seam roll it, or you can press it. Just to save time in the video, I am only pressing the seams with my seam roller, and that's how it should look. Now, like I said before, you will need 2 of them. After you have done that, oops, I got thread all over my fabric. You're going to want to take your center square, which in my case is this fun red, green, and white fabric. And you're going to take your rectangle piece of your background fabric, and you are going to sew 2 of them, 1 on each side. Let's start that over again. You're going to sew 1 rectangle on the left and right side of your fabric square. Now, like I've said, I've already got the right one on, or the left one on, so I am going to sew this on and show y'all how it's done. Boy, she is really not happy with me with that door shut right now. She doesn't normally come up here, but she just doesn't like it. That, and she knows my youngest daughter's up here. So, with that being said, we're going to fold our seams to the center square, and there's the first piece. Now, when you sewed both of those pieces on, and you pressed your seams to the center, you're going to take your top and spool bottom pieces that we just did, these brown pieces, which, by the way, you can do in any color. It's your quilt. You want pink spools? Have pink spools. Don't let all these other people talk you out of it. You're going to want to make sure that they're facing the right way. So what I mean by that is on the spool blocks, so the top one, the corners are going to be on the facing down, okay, and then the bottom, the corners will be facing up towards the block. So remember, the top corner, the top one, the corners will be facing down towards the square block, the center block, and the bottom piece, brown piece, will be facing up towards the center. And these can be kind of tricky because you want that point, this point right here, to match with the corner of your center block, which you can tell did not always happen in mine, but I'm okay with it. So what I started doing is, if you notice that it's turning out that none of those pieces are fitting, and all of them are coming out the wrong size, or none of them are matching, stop what you're doing, go back and check the remaining pieces. Make sure you have the right length. I know on some of them were a little long, and I didn't figure that part out until the middle of the quilt. So what I've started doing is, there's several ways you can make sure those points match up. You can use a pin, stick it through the center, stick it from the top corner into the corner that you want to match. You could clip it, but what I like to do is, I like to put the corner of the top block, the brown piece, in, so the corner is sitting in on the center block. And what happens is that corner is going to be pulled into place as I'm sewing it, or at least most of the time it is. And again, you're just going to use a 1/4 inch seam. You just want to be careful about how much you're pulling on your fabric. You don't want to stretch it. Alright, a little back stitch there. And look, it worked. Let me see. Snips here real quick. Alright, so there's the top of your spool. And as you can see, for once, they are matching perfectly. So you're just going to do the exact same thing with the bottom piece, making sure that the two corners on your piece right here is going towards your block. Okay, and there you have it. Your spool block is done.
Kind of looks like a fancy mug.
It can't be. All you would need to do is add a little handle. if you wanted a mug. So, and there you have it, your 2 blocks. Now, the only thing I have to say about this is that I only showed you how to do the small star, which is the 4 corners. Your bigger star is made the exact same way as this one. So, don't panic. And like I said, Becca's channel, the video she has on her channel will go into far more detail than mine does. Okay, now that we got that moved, now, I did promise that I was going to show you the extra, whatever I did with the extra blocks, and so not only did I get this quilt, which is still long on me, but I have a nice little blue wall hanging. Did I have to do it all in blue? No, I just thought it looked cool, so I did. So I got that with the extra blocks. So all I did was I took 2 of the spool blocks and 2 of the star blocks and just alternated them. And then I put the border on just like it says to do with the actual quilt, so it matches it. And as far as the borders are concerned, it's super easy to put on. Just follow the directions that are stated, and you'll have no problems in it. Then I have some extra blocks. So all I did was, this one I need to put the top piece on. But I have star blocks and I have the spool blocks left over. So what I've decided to do is I am going to make a pillow out of this one and this one, or either one. So I'll make a small pillow with those, and all I'm going to do is, probably make a border around it on both pieces, and then I will sew them together, stuff them. I'm not going to buy a pillow form because I'm not going to change it out, so I'm just going to stuff it with some polyfill, and I'll have a little pillow. Also, you could take your extra blocks and make large mug rugs out of them, or coasters, like a little placemat. As far as the smaller blocks, what I did with this is I actually made this tiny spool block out of some leftover fabric that I had from making all the scraps. I made this spool block the same size as the corner star blocks because I have some corner star blocks left. I'm going to take those. One side is going to be the spool, the other side is going to be the star, and I'm going to make little pin cushions out of them. I just thought that would be really cute to do. There's so many things out there that you could do. You could make it a mini quilt. Simply take one block, put a nice little frame around it, quilt it, and there you go. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. A huge thank you to Becca for being so patient with me. And guys, I'm sorry for the way the video is choppy. If I'm repeating myself, or hopefully everything came out clear. Like I said, this is my first quilt video on YouTube. So I'm going to invite y'all to hit the like and subscribe button, simply because I'd really like to grow this channel and have a YouTube family of my own. And with that being said, I think that's it, guys. So again, huge thank you, and I'll see y'all in the next video.